Do Not Disturb #1 from Invader Comics kind of has an ironic title, I guess. Assuming you find murder disturbing. Not that I'm judging you if you don't, okay? Please don't hurt me. I can see why they went with Do Not Disturb, though, as opposed to something like Disturbed. Because, then they'd have to be down with the sickness. So this is an upcoming book from Invader Comics, Do Not Disturb #1. The final order cutoff date for this book is October 27th. That's the last day that you can have your local comic shop order a copy for you. This book is about the ghost of private investigator Randall Halsey inside the once glamorous Argyle Hotel as he basically stumbles upon his own murder scene. And he has to now solve the mystery of his own murder. This book is the latest from Jared Hunter Rowe and David R. Flores. They're a writing tandem with Flores doing the art. They did The Inspectors last year, and that wound up being one of my favorite comics of 2024, so I was excited to see them back together here. What's more, they're teamed up with Lorenzo Scaramella, who is the colorist here, and Scaramella worked on Love Me, a Romance Story, which was another one of my favorite comics of 2024. So it's like worlds are colliding here for yours truly. And truth be told, Scaramella may actually be the MVP of this issue. I've talked recently about how a great colorist can add their own subtle layer to a story based on, the colors that they choose. And that's definitely the case early on as far as how Scaramella chooses to color or light the Argyle Hotel. You definitely get the sense that this place either is exotic or important, or was exotic or important at some point. It's got that aura about it, which is so valuable because I get the sense the Argyle is going to be like its own character in this book. I like the Randall Halsey character. He's got that jaded, grizzled detective feel to him. Seems to be going for a redemption story of sorts, so it'll be interesting to see if he accomplishes that. And he's got a ghostly companion named Oscar, who I'm fairly certain is modeled after retro Tom Selleck. That's cool. I like the dynamic that those two have together. And if I'm being honest, I like that Oscar calls Randall Dick as a nickname. As in Private Dick. That's amusing to me because I'm 6, apparently. Do Not Disturb #1 is what I would classify as a really good tee-up issue. Meaning it kind of does the mechanical work of introducing the characters, establishing the setting, getting them in position for the plot to start moving. But the thing about a good tee-up issue is that you don't know how good the figurative swing is going to be from a story perspective until you get to the following issue. So Do Not Disturb #2 may ultimately be the big test for this story, at least in my book. I don't even play golf, by the way. I don't know why I'm using sports metaphors. But I would still classify Do Not Disturb as a solid bet moving forward. At the very least, issue 1, a very enjoyable read. And again, the final order cutoff date for Do Not Disturb #1, October 27th, for a December release. I'm picking up some divorced dad / midlife crisis vibes from Star Wars Han Solo Hunt for the Falcon #2. Is it Falcon or Falcon? I'm from the Midwest, so I say Falcon, but maybe I'm wrong. So in this issue, Han Solo continues his quest to find the Millennium Falcon, which was stolen from him quite some time ago. At his side is a reluctant Chewbacca who kind of seems like he's moved on with his life at this point, but Han Solo clearly has not. But yeah, there's a sadness to the proceedings here, as Han Solo almost desperately tries to sort of go back to the way things were before in his life, when he was younger. And of course, we know he can't do that. Things are different now. Ramon Rosales continues to give us some great art. Really captures that Force Awakens era look for Han Solo / Harrison Ford. We've seen some flashbacks in this story, like in this issue, for instance, we flash back to a moment with Han, Leia, and a child-aged Ben Solo aboard the Falcon. Well, we need to establish in this story when the Falcon was stolen and how it happened. You'd think that would be something they established up front, but that didn't happen. Yeah, we just need like a timeline of events here. Because at one point, Han Solo has a line in this book, I hope she remembers me, the Falcon remembers him. And it's like, well, has it been that long? I mean, how long has it been here? Are we talking a year, 5 years, 10 years? What's the deal? Either way, I'm still enjoying what we get here, though. Nice adventure meets character exploration story. People like seeing their superheroes team up and get along. They really do. I honestly think it gives people a warm, fuzzy feeling deep down inside. But on the other hand, people also like seeing their superheroes beat the piss out of each other. And we're bound to see a lot of that in DC's new event comic, DCKO, issue 1 of which came out this week. So our story here is kind of convoluted, but long story, kind of short. Darkseid, the godlike supervillain, is about to make his return to Earth. And in order to grant one individual celestial godlike powers to fight against Darkseid, various heroes and villains from the DC universe have to compete in a tournament against one another. The winner will presumably face Darkseid. So Scott Snyder is our author here. Scott Snyder is also the author of Absolute Batman, which is a book that I thought got too silly. So silly that it kind of ventured into stupid territory. And yes, I know a lot of people like Absolute Batman. Don't come after me. That's just how I feel. And when DCKO was announced, I had 2 big prerequisites for it in order for me to read it and get invested. Number 1, we had to have a good reason that all these characters, many of which are heroes, are fighting one another. They can't just be fighting because. And number 2, the story could not venture into that same so silly it's stupid territory. Thankfully, coming out of this first issue, both those prerequisites, both those rules are holding. We spend most of this issue explaining how and why all these heroes have to fight each other to be anointed the one to fight Darkseid. I mean, it's not the most thrilling issue from an action standpoint, but we're going to get a lot of action in the issues to come, I think. So I'd rather we just take care of this business up front, which is what this issue does. Javi Fernandez is our artist here. He does a really commendable job. I love this panel, which you might not hear a lot of people talking about. It's just Superman looking at his own reflection, and the word balloon is also inverted backwards, like mirror style. I think that's a really great touch. Bottom line, I think that Snyder and Fernandez and everybody involved here really did some solid laying of the groundwork for what could be a really fun project, as long as we don't get too far over the top, okay? And I'll be watching. You know what the thing is about being disappointed with something that you're nonetheless committed to? Your standards and expectations are already so low that when something good happens, you're kind of disproportionately happy about it. You're like, oh, I didn't expect that. I think that's actually the same logic that has allowed me to stay married for 11 years. But it's also the logic behind my enjoyment of Batman: The Last Halloween, number 9. So I think this is the penultimate issue of the book. The plot is coming to a head, coming to a crescendo. as Batman wonders where Catwoman's loyalties truly lie. Yeah, I'm still picking up this book, despite the fact that the story is kind of a wash for me at this point. Jeff Loeb, our author here, is nonetheless one of my favorite Batman writers of all time, so I'm sticking with it for him. The art for this issue was a lot of fun for me. And, so is the baby daddy drama that's kind of going on. It's a guilty pleasure, I guess. Chris Samney is our latest in the revolving door of artists for this book. He does a fine job sort of keeping with his own style, but invoking the late Tim Sale at various points. If you like what you see from him here, you should probably check out his work on Batman and Robin Year 1, which I think is about to wrap up as well. And of course what they're doing is they're sort of repurposing old Tim Sale sketches for these covers. This is a fine one. I like the purple. I miss Tim Sale. I think a lot of us do. Would this book have been any better if he were alive and working on it? The writing wouldn't have been affected, so it still kind of would have been what it is, but I think that sort of long Halloween aura would have been a little more intact, so, that would have been a nice effect. The guy that ruined Spider-Man comics is once again writing Spider-Man comics? Well, how the heck did we let that happen? I'm joking. I don't actually believe that. But sometimes you take the effective hook when you can get it. This is The Amazing Spider-Man Torn #1. But yeah, J. Michael Straczynski is our author for this book. And of course, he was the guy that wrote the famous One More Day storyline, which erased Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson's marriage from the timeline via a deal Peter makes with the devil, and people got really upset about that. Not for nothing, if you just look at One More Day in a vacuum, I think it's actually pretty good. I think it's an emotionally gripping story, and this issue, for what it's worth, is another reminder of just how good J. Michael Straczynski can be with Spider-Man and the Spider-Man universe. You ever listen to a podcast or something where you're not even that interested in what they're talking about, but you just kind of like the hosts and the vibe that they have with each other? You like being around that? That's kind of what the appeal of this issue is. I'm not even completely cognizant of what the story is going to be about. It involves a dark magic book, but it didn't make a huge impression on me. But no, the big appeal here is classic Spider-Man. This is Peter Parker during his college years. He's with Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane Watson and Harry Osborn, and we've got a writer who knows what he's doing. We've got a great artistic team. Classic Spidey done well. For what it's worth, I, thus far at least, have the same dynamic with this story that I had with Spider-Man Shadow of the Green Goblin, which came out last year. But yeah, the core story, the main plot, honestly just kind of fades into the background on this issue, and I just kind of feel the vibes and enjoy the classic Spidey stuff. I haven't read Amazing Spider-Man for a while now. I checked out issue 1 of the current series, but it's not really doing anything for me. So it honestly just kind of felt good to read Spider-Man again. Pere Perez is our artist here, really delivers on that classic Spidey action. Again, classic Spider-Man flavor. But yeah, I would recommend this issue to people who haven't read Spider-Man in a while. Sort of a palate cleanser, I guess, for everything that's been going on in continuity lately, and sort of a nice back-to-basics approach. It's pretty easy to tell that Captain Planet and the Planeteers #6 is based on a 90s Saturday morning cartoon, for better, worse, or indifferent. So in this finale issue, Captain Planet takes on Lucian Plunder, who is now Captain Pollution. as the Planeteers take the fight to Plunder's corporation. Things get pretty cheesy in this issue, I'll say, particularly in terms of the dialogue between Captain Planet and Captain Pollution as they're fighting. There's also two Planeteers that come together romantically, the execution of which is kind of, well, cheesy and corny and etc. In the end, I didn't really have a problem with that. I think if you're going to lay that layer of 90s cheesiness onto things, this was the issue to do it, during the big rah-rah, stand up against the problem moment. And let's face it, sometimes the cheesiness element is part of what we like about these old shows, these old properties, etc. But yeah, all in all, no major complaints about this issue or the Captain Planet book at large. I guess my biggest complaint is that I thought this was going to be an ongoing series, and now I'm finding out we have to wait until the next chapter. But yeah, I really think this Captain Planet book turned out about as well as you could hope for. So I'm hopeful that we get more sooner rather than later.